Well, welcome everyone. We've still got a few folks rolling in, so I want to be mindful of that, but we also want to give as much time as we need today to this very exciting and important topic. So I will take just a moment and do a little bit of housekeeping and welcoming before I introduce Kevin and we get going. Thank you all so much for being here today. I am Casey Perkins, and I serve as the Director of Alumni Development and Church Relations here at the School of Theology in Sewanee. And it's a real joy not only to work on the seminary side of the development and church relations world, but also to be a liaison and connection point for Education for Ministry as the flagship lay formation program that the School of Theology has had for 50 years now, which is something that we are so excited to be celebrating this year. 50 years of Education for Ministry. And so today, of course, you all are here to hear from Kevin about the first 50 years, the next 50 years, and all of the exciting new things that are happening with EFM. We've got around 150 people with us so far, and so it's very exciting that the EFM community is energized and excited to hear about all that we have going on and what's next for the future of EFM. So some of you have already figured out the Q&A feature of this webinar, but we do encourage you to utilize that Q&A feature throughout Kevin's presentation today. If there's a question that's really timely, I may interrupt him with that question, but we'll also save some time at the end to go through questions. And if time does not allow us to answer all of the questions that come through, then Kevin will be reviewing those. And if there are things that need to be answered more fully, he'll be reaching out in a Substack communication coming out later this week or next week with any questions that were pertinent, but we weren't able to get to. So just be aware that we'll try to be as thorough in answering you all's questions as we're able to be. So without any further ado, I'd like to take just a moment and introduce someone who for many of you is a very familiar face, but is the Executive Director of Education for Ministry and has been serving in that role since July of 2023, but has been connected to EFM for much longer than that, just about since childhood, as many of you know his story. So having served as an EFM mentor and trainer for more than 30 years, the Reverend Kevin Goodman brings a deep understanding of EFM to this role as executive director, as well as years of leadership experience in the Episcopal Church. Since his ordination to the priesthood in 2006, Kevin served in the Diocese of Chicago in many capacities, including as a street pastor to homeless youth, the associate rector at All Saints Ravenswood, and associate dean of St. James Cathedral. Kevin completed his undergraduate studies in television production at Loyola University, New Orleans, and in 2004 earned a Master's of Divinity from the General Theological Seminary. In 2012, Kevin was trained and accredited as an interim rector and has since led multiple congregations in Chicago during important times of transition. And as I mentioned a moment ago, in summer of 2023, Kevin came and became the new executive director of EFM and has been focused on revisions to the curriculum, to the program, to honing in on all that makes EFM so beloved and special, and to preparing for this 50th anniversary celebration, which is now underway. So without further ado, please help me and welcome the Reverend Kevin Goodman.
Yeah, thank you, Casey, and thank you for all you do to help us secure EFM's financial future and empower us to continue to develop new and exciting programming as we expand EFM's offerings. So thank you for that gracious introduction. And hi, everyone. It's good to see all of you all today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hear about the new things that are happening here at EFM during my first 2 years serving you, the EFM community, as the executive director. I hope that what we prepared today for you is informative and exciting. I am very grateful that all of you are here. Education for Ministry is, of course, preparing for its 50-year anniversary. We started the celebration officially on March 24th is when we started officially celebrating education for ministry. But we have an exciting and rich history. 50 years ago, education from ministry was born out of the imagination of Charlie Winters. And Charlie was excited about the transformation of the church's mission, ministry, and vitality. He wondered, what would the church look like if the entire laity of the Episcopal Church had access to a seminary level of theological formation? What would the church look like, and how could EFM be a part of transforming the church? The first curriculum was compiled from the notes of faculty from the School of Theology at the University of the South, right here at Sewanee, Tennessee. And lectures were transcribed, pages were mimeographed by seminarians, and they were put to work to collate and assemble the books, which of course arrived late. So late text and late materials arriving has been a part of our tradition since the beginning. And what was once known as theological education by extension became EFM education for ministry. And Charlie piloted it in several southern dioceses that were connected to Sewanee. And it was this original partnership that created the diocesan partnerships that still strengthen our program to this day. We currently have diocesan contracts with 79 dioceses and international partnerships in Europe, England, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong. So from this vision of Charlie came an incredible program. And all are here probably because you know something about EFM and you love it, or some of you are curious. But what is EFM exactly? What do we do that makes us a successful formation program? Well, EFM, we are an intentional community, and we're guided by a rule of life, which in EFM we call group norms, that each community each seminar group throughout the world creates their own rule of life of how we're going to be in relationship with each other so that we can go deep and encounter the material that we do throughout the year together. We are disciplined and accountable to each other. And while we're doing all this, we're focused on worshiping and praying together, reflecting theologically, studying scripture, tradition, and history, considering the sacredness of life experiences, all the while seeking implications for action. And these original guiding principles for small group transformation would evolve into EFM's 5 core practices that all of our seminar groups worldwide use to this day: living in community, vocational discernment, study of the Christian tradition, regular prayer and worship, and theological reflection. One of the greatest theologians of our modern time, Catherine Tanner, who serves as the Frederick McQuad Professor of Systematic Theology at Yale Divinity School, she says this in her book, The Politics of God, Christian Theologies and Social Justice, quote, "How is the attempt to follow Jesus historically displayed in Christian relations with others? How are people who hold such beliefs about God and the world inclined to comport themselves? What are their attitudes and actions towards others likely to be? What judgments are Christians liable to make about proper human relations? Should their judgments be informed by beliefs about, for example, God's transcendence or God's relation to the world as its creator?" So all of you, as you read Catherine's beautiful words, I believe that they can describe any seminar group worldwide, that these are the very things that EFM has been doing together as a community in Christ since its founding over 50 years ago. And so it's really good to see how these things have been put into action to this day, and how we still practice what's going on. And I think I'm a little biased because I serve as your executive director. I feel that EFM looks great at 50 years, that we are still going strong, even though we are facing many challenges of the church. And as a church, some of those are the very same challenges we face as the EFM program. We are a strong program. And so beginning in the fall of 2025, EF constituents worldwide will journey through the program's 5th revision, engaging scripture, tradition, culture, and personal experiences in order for them to discern their ministry in whatever context their ministry has them in. Additionally, EFM has created and we'll continue to develop additional formation products that empower small group transformation through study and reflection. As many of you all know who have been connected to this program since its founding, people sometimes hear 4 years and freak out. There is no way I can do that. If you think about it, when EFM was founded 50 years ago, we were in the middle of the civil rights movement. Were trying to get out of the Vietnam War. We were in an interesting transition with the ministry of what would women look like in the Episcopal Church in particular. You know, we were not as transient as people. We didn't have to go and move as often as we do. So 4 years wasn't as scary as today. And even though for the 4-year program, you only commit to 1 year at a time, most people are like me, want to finish the program. And so can I do 4 years or not? So we have created and will continue to develop new things. In addition to our classic 36-week program, we are introducing other formation products that gather for a time between 4 to 12 weeks for a specific area in spiritual study. So I'll be talking about more of those later. But we are now introducing the 5th curriculum revision and new EFM formation products. Now, when I came on board as the executive director, I did not believe that we would be doing a curriculum revision, quite frankly. That was not in any of my interview thoughts or vision for the program, and it wasn't in the staff and for, quite frankly, many of our constituents. As I was speaking to Rick Brewer and Angela Hock-Brewer, who worked with Karen, the 3 of those who did the 4th revision, that is still as we finish up the 4th revision, it became clear that more than an update to the reading and reflection guide was needed. And so that's where the seed for curriculum revision got planted. It was like, well, not only do we need to update the reading and reflection guides, but we have to do this, 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 and this. So that is where the idea, like, okay, maybe it's time for the program's 5th revision. And that's where we find ourselves today. So all EFM formation products will practice the core practices of EFM mentioned above and have theological reflection as the way of engaging the material. EFM believes that all the people of God are theologians. We just need to learn and practice the discipline to become more and more strong in what we do. Spiritual growth, like working out, requires discipline. And we see, when we look at religions worldwide, that worship, prayer, and theology are core religious practices across all faiths. Without discipline and intention, transformation cannot occur. And in our EFM seminars worldwide, we are creating together a common language that allows us to talk to each other about transcendent things. And we are seeking to understand and identify the source of our personal beliefs. Why do I believe what I believe, and why do I act and do the things that I do? And all of us who are trying the difficult work of following Jesus, which, my God, is not easy, we are praying to discover, why do my particular faith beliefs, what are they, and are they congruent with what I do in life? And most of the time, I'll speak for me personally, my faith beliefs are not congruent with my life actions, so I need to theologically reflect over and over and over to try to align my beliefs to be more like what Jesus asks of us. We seek insights into why we believe what we believe and why we act the way we do. So theological reflection is something very, very simple. How do I know what I know? Why do I act the way I do and do the things I do? And do my actions align with my faith beliefs? EFM did not invent theological reflection, but we have a specific way that we use in all of our seminar groups to help us answer these very challenging faith-seeking questions. How do I know what I do? Why do I act the way I do? And do my actions align with my faith beliefs? And so here, unlike what we hear in our culture, in an EFM seminar, your experience matters. And it's only when we bring our experience and connect it to the voices of our tradition, the teachings of the church, and our culture, do we realize how we come to our positions, our implications for action in the world. My experiences inform who I am as a person, but the tradition and culture, how do they impact what I believe and do? which leads me to my position. Now, it will come to no surprise that, to many of you that I've had the pleasure of meeting, that I discovered in my journey of faith with God that most of my beliefs about God and about Jesus came from movies and culture. So often my beliefs and my actions in the world were incongruent with the traditions and the teachings of the church. Now, how do I bring these two together to be a better practitioner, a better follower of Jesus, so that when someone sees me acting in the world, they say, we know he is a follower of Jesus by the love he exudes. So this is what we try to do in theological reflection. And I've become more and more able through EFM to see what the teachings of the church are and to see where they're incongruent with what I practice and say in my daily life. And so needless to say, that brings us to the fifth curriculum revision. And EFM has a history of revision, just like we have the revision prayer book tradition in our church. So the fifth curriculum revision, here's how the revision of EFM has looked during its 50-year history. The initial curriculum, as I said earlier, was a compiling of notes from the faculty of the School of Theology. And these were put together in spiral-bound yellow books in the 70s. And would you believe it or not, my mother was in the first EFM group in Louisiana, and I remember how proud she was of receiving that yellow spiral-bound book, which I still have her collection to this day. In the 80s, these were updated. The notes of our faculty were updated and compiled into white books in the 80s. I don't know about you all, that's when I entered the program, so I remember the white books as I initially went through the first 4 years. In the 90s, we had the third revision where these notes were updated and compiled into a binder system designed to be updated through strategically numbered page replacement. If you remember, on page 12-1-32, that's where we often had to go to find things. And it was designed so that these things could be pulled out and replaced as updates occurred. Now, I don't recall updates to the binder in my lifetime, but that was the idea behind that complicated page replacement system and page numbering system. The fourth revision, which is what we're in right now, when Karen Meredith was called to be our executive director, shifted to an academic text-based program. So instead of materials that were created by the faculty of the School of Theology, we moved to the latest academic texts in hopes that would keep the program as current as possible. And that allowed us to introduce the reading and reflection guide, which was a way for us to encounter the text materials and lead discussions and allow each of us to individually reflect as we prepared for our seminar life. That reading and reflection guide is now electronic in the fifth revision. The academic text-based program remains, but we are introducing a multimedia syllabus called a path, and that replaces the reading and reflection guide. Now, many of us, as part of the preparation for this introduction of this multimedia path of PathRight, we started to use this as an enrollment thing, and frankly, that's not what PathRight was designed to do. But it allowed us to start preparing our participants on how to navigate through PathRight. We started slowly having all of our mentors go through PathRight courses a year ago so that they would start finding some comfort in navigating PathRight, and even integrated PathRight into our training time with our mentors all around the country and around the world. And so you will see in the path how we have turned this into a multimedia experience as opposed to only a text-based experience. So the fifth revision moves the reading and reflection guide into a multimedia syllabus called a path. And you will see EFM formation products slowly start to build up in your PathRight library. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and show you my current library as a participant. And this is what your library will start to look like as you enroll in more and more EFM formation programs. The EFM orientation to PathRight is free. The EFM mentor enrollment is free. This is one of our new short courses, EFM Meditations for Racial Healing, designed by Catherine Meeks. We have a new free resource that should be in your Pathright library now, which is called EFM Recruitment. This is a long path that you use kind of piecemeal to recruit people. It has materials, downloadable brochures, videos. This is in your library now. We also have now in your library an incredible resource, EFM Week by Week. EFM Week by Week began as a private resource for our mentors to suggest and empower them to engage the materials in different ways. As you know, with a program as large as EFM, we have brand new mentors every year. In fact, our new mentors increased by 15% this year. And so they are just learning their way of how to navigate the program of EFM. And Beth and Karen, their hope was to help empower newer mentors as ways to engage the material, none of it prescriptive. But now it is free and available to all participants, coordinators, trainers, my staff, all have access now to this in your Pathright library. And you see here, I'm in one of the pilot groups for the first year A path, the Journey with God. And earlier I saw a chat, someone commented, "Oh, I love labyrinths." But if you notice, this isn't a labyrinth. The icon for the first path is a maze. Unlike a labyrinth, which has one way in and goes to the center and one way out, I'll speak from my own personal experience. My journey with God has never been that clear. And so we decided on using a maze because sometimes I'm hiding from God in that maze. Sometimes I'm trying to find God. Sometimes I'm praying God will find me. So if you look closely at the journey, this path, you will see that, oh, it's not a labyrinth, it's actually a maze. And we're going to look more into this path in a minute. And so I'm excited to show you what's going on in there. So that all of this will start to appear in your Pathright library. And I promise you, the more you engage Pathright and go in there and play with, particularly the free resources, the more comfortable you will get to see and start to see all the possibilities of this. We, EFM, did not invent Pathright. Pathright has been used by seminaries and universities across the country for several years. And I'm glad now that we're bringing this technology to our participants and mentors. If you do not have a Pathright account, I mean, if you've registered for an EFM program within the last 2 years, you have one. But if not, and you'd like to access EFM's free resources, you go to efm.pathright.com and register, and you will get a free account and start to see your Pathright library build as you engage our material. EFM Classic, the program that has over 120,000 graduates across the past 50 years, is coming out in its 5th revision, and we're rebranding it as EFM Classic. It remains a 4-year program in which participants commit to studying 1 year at a time. Each yearly path has a theme. Path A is the journey with God. Path B, following Jesus. Path C, listening to the Spirit. And Path D, engaging the world. EFM Classic will be combined with our new 1-year program, EFM Wide Angle, and I'll say more about that in a minute. Each of these 2 programs still remain a 36-week program with 27 weeks dedicated to the core studies and 7 weeks devoted to common lessons. These are the texts that were selected for each one. The only text that remains from the 4th revision is Powell in year 2. In year 1, you will see introducing the Old Testament and Bible women are the core text. Year 2, the Christian Scriptures is Mark Powell. And Heinze's Incredible Mind the Gap is the 6-week transition from the Hebrew Scripture to the Christian Scriptures that you study right off the top. Year 3, Christian History has 3 sources. Short World History of Christianity from Bruce Mullen, Ferguson, The Episcopal Story, Birth and Rebirth, and then participants will have a choice to either purchase The Black Church by Henry Louis Jr. or to purchase the incredible PBS series and engage that material that way. Year 4 continues its focus on ethics and spirituality and how do I engage as if I am, how do I engage ethics and spirituality as I become more and more theologically ground? That's the 27 weeks core materials. And then you will have the common lessons. Each year we'll have 7. A new introduction to the revised curriculum is each year we'll have spiritual sojourners that have written the essay. They're spiritual companions to help you move and engage through the material for the year. It's really exciting that the spiritual sojourners for the first year are the community of St. Mary. You know how we pray for Constance and her companions and the incredible things that they did in Memphis to heal people. These are her people who are still here in existence, the Southern Province. And I was so grateful when they said they would write the essays for the first revision. And they're really powerful and exciting. And then there will be 2 community gatherings. We're replacing interlude with community gatherings in hopes, and you'll hear more from Joshua as we continue the weeks ahead talking about the new curriculum. We're hoping the community gatherings become a way to invite people who have graduated from EFM, those who are interested in EFM, a way to recruit people into EFM. The first community gathering is a 1-week commitment where you watch 3 online videos that you see there. The second community gathering is a 2-week gathering where Sumon Kid talks about God's joyful surprise. All of these point, the 4 essays from our spiritual sojourners, the videos, and the required community gathering text to the year's theme of following in God. Now, Wide Angle is a new program. As you've heard, people don't want to commit, maybe afraid to commit to the 4 years and be like, I just want to do a 1-year thing. So Wide Angle has been developed as a 5th voice into the classic curriculum, meaning that EFM Wide Angle follows the same schedule as the EFM Classic, except that its 26 core weeks are a different set of materials. Now, EFM Wide Angle is designed to participate in a seminar. So if you have years 1, 2, and 4, you will also have the ability to have EFM Wide Angle in your group. Or let's say that you serve as a mentor at one of our smaller congregations where, believe it or not, this exists. The entire church has taken the EFM curriculum. Maybe there'll be a whole year of Wide Angle that are only Wide Angle people. Wide Angle is designed that someone who may be curious about EFM but doesn't want to commit may say, well, can I do Wide Angle? And they would join a current seminar group that's doing Classic. They may say, somebody may say after doing years 1 and 2, I need a break. So they can do Wide Angle just to have a more spiritual approach to how we do engage material. Or some of our graduates may want to come back for an EFM 5th year, and they can come back and do Wide Angle. And so Wide Angle is a 1-year commitment, but it, like the Classic program, will need to be led by an accredited mentor. And it's designed to be part of a multi-year seminar group. And I'll show you more about that in a minute. These are the texts selected for Wide Angle. Rachel Held Evans, Inspired, Rowan Williams, Being Disciples, Winnie Vargas as Church Meets the World, Stephen Charleston's Ladder to the Light, and Joan Chittister's The Monastic Heart. These are the texts that we believe as people go through the year will get a taste of what the other 4 years of Classic are like. And like Classic, they too will read on the same schedule the spiritual sojourner essays, the community gathering required text, and the online videos. So they will follow the same 36-week schedule and practice their core practices as the Classic program. Now, how does this work? Well, in Pathright, and I'm about to show you within my own Pathright library, you will see that within the path, instead of 36 weeks, you have 36 modules. And let me open up my Pathright library so I can take you into the path itself and show you how this plays out. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is my path. This is path A, which all groups, seminars around the world will begin next year. You'll see when you go into the path, um, it's laid out into 36 weeks. Of course, it's not loading. Um, so anyway, when you go in here, you will see that you will complete registration within the path. You will see that there's a forward now. These are 12 things that you do to prepare for your first seminar gathering. So it is the forward are things that introduce you to the steps of theological reflection. They introduce you to um, a spiritual autobiography. They talk about how the program works. There's a video about EFM in general. There's a video that introduces you to our spiritual sojourner. So you prepare in the forward for group life. And then, of course, you come to week one, which you will see looks very familiar to what you are familiar with in the current reading and reflection guide. And year three, if you see, each week is full of four steps. There's the engage step. So all EFM products are modeled after engage, respond, reflect, and then there are additional resources. So preparing for your seminar, whether you meet on-site or online, the participant will come into the engage section and see what they are to do to prepare for the seminar session together. If I'm in year one, here's what I have to prepare. Year two, here's what I have to prepare. Year three, here's what I have to prepare. Year four, and then of course, wide angle, here's what I have to prepare. And so this tells you what do you need to do as an individual to prepare for your seminar life. Respond and reflect are the work that you do with your seminar, whether on site or online or on site. So these are suggested questions to begin a conversation. You know, many of us in the seminars use ABCD method to start a multi-level group and to have a discussion that we can all engage in. These are questions that are suggested, but I need to be clear. These are not prescriptive, but created to help seminars find a way into the material so that all people can do it all at once. Week three, I'm sorry, not week three. The third step is reflect. This is the theological reflection. And here are steps if you are a newer mentor to help you lead a theological reflection. Some of our more experienced mentors may choose not to use these questions, but these are ways for our newer mentors to know exactly what to do. And then finally, the week finishes out with resources. If you, like, for example, in year one, have a whole lot more time to do, because you know year one isn't a lot of reading. There's additional reading in the resource sections that you can read and engage deeper. Here, year three is recommending some podcasts, and then we prepare for week four. So that is how the curriculum works in Pathright. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes.
you alluded to this, but there's been a couple of questions, and so I thought it would be good just to state very clearly, wide angle folks are in with the classic folks being led by the same mentor, not in a separate group. Several people have asked about that. So will you just clarify
Yeah.
that point?
Yeah. Thank you, Casey. And yes. So I'll try to be clear. It's designed to be embedded with another classic group. So yes, they would be in with the same mentor, having the same discussions, and that's how the revision is designed. However, let's say you're a mentor and you have 7 people who only want to do wide angle. The mentor then has the option to do just that. Okay, I'm leading wide angle this year, but you will have the same path. So you will, and as you saw in the path, year one, year two, year three, year four, and wide angle. I hope this helps. It's designed to have a fifth voice in the classic curriculum, but it can also be a separate thing altogether. So I hope that helps. Casey, if people are, I can't see the Q&A, interrupt me again because he has to work with me. He knows I'm full of hot air. And so just interrupt me. But I hope that helps us unpack that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few other questions about wide angle if you want to stay on that for just a
Okay,
moment.
that'd be great.
Um, This says, what will the required number of participants be to form a group?
Okay, the required number of participants will remain the same, 6 to 12. So you will need 6 to start a group, 12 maximum. And several of my mentors know this, the mentors in EFM have been serving for years. Sometimes it's hard to get numbers, and they may have 4 people who are moving their way through the classic curriculum. And it's our hope, the designers of the new curriculum, which there were over 36 people in the curriculum revision task force, it's our hope that, hey, what if I can get 2 people just come in and do wide angle? Then you would have your 6, 4 going through the classic and 2 going through wide angle, but all in the same room. And you follow the same weekly schedule. You do spiritual autobiographies together. You do the theological reflection together. You do the common lessons together. The only thing that changes are the core texts that you are engaging as you prepare for your seminar's life. Okay, yeah, Casey?
Um, uh, this person says, will mentor training cover how to integrate wide angle into a classic seminar group?
Yes. When the materials were introduced on May 24th, Beth Cavey, who is our trainer in residence for mentor empowerment, is working with our trainers to start integrating that. And yes, you will see that starting actually in training starting in May. Yeah.
Perfect. One other about wide angle. This person asks, do you imagine the wide angle books changing each year?
That I don't know the answer to. Thank you for the question. We've had so much inquiry about wide angle that the task force is trying to decide, do we need to design another wide angle year? That was not our intention when we entered into, oh, let's design a 1-year program. And that's what we did with wide angle. And so it's a very fair question, and we're wrestling with that right now. The response to wide angle has been so positive and almost one of the things that people are really excited about, that may be a possibility. But as of today, the answer is no. But trust me, we're trying to listen to our mentors and all our constituents to see if there is room for another wide angle, and we're in discussion about that. So thank you for the question.
Great. You
Oh,
can keep going. We've got more questions, but I think we'll save some of those for.
okay, thank you, Casey. Just shut me up, dude. Okay, so now you see how the path works. And all EFM products will work this way in the path and all follow the same pattern: engage, respond, reflect, and resources. Engage is the work that you do prior to your seminar's meeting. Respond and reflect is the work you do in your group. And resources are things, if you have time. In year 1, I didn't, but if you have more time, these are things that you may want to add to your study as you engage in this material. Um, so now some of the new things that are being introduced. The EFM reflections are 6 to 10 weeks of study, reflection, and engagement that use the pattern of engage, respond, reflect, and resources. Um, we will be developing 2 of these a year. The initial 2 that are being piloted right now is a theology for trans allies from Tara Soffers and meditations for racial healing for Catherine Meeks from Catherine Meeks. Both are based on both of their brilliant books. We are piloting both of those now, and they will be available for you to use in the fall. These do not need to be led by an accredited mentor. Our hope is that as graduates of the program, our alumni try to engage their ministry and how they connect to their congregation. They may pick it up since they're familiar with theological reflection and have been practicing it. It could be someone who's never had any EFM experience at all. The path is written that anyone can pick up the path and lead it. What's Law Got to Do with Love by Becky Wright, our incredible Old Testament scholar here at Sewanee. Her course will start to pilot in the fall and debut in the spring. So EFM Reflections, these are short courses. These will be led by mentors, but not accredited mentors. It's a leader, but we're going to keep the mentor language. And they will be offered at a cost of $10 per participant. EFM catechumenate is in development right now. This will be a 24-year, a 24-year, God, I won't be around, 24-week course that will involve people all around the country who will be moving and preparing for the rites of initiation of the church. It's grounded in history, scripture, reflection, and tradition, and it empowers participants to prepare for full membership in the church. It's being designed by our dean, Jim Terrell, dean of the School of Theology here, and by Bishop Jeff Lee, retired bishop of the Diocese of Chicago. EFM's core practices will prepare the catechumenon for the spiritual discipline of the journey of faith. It is in development now. It will begin piloting during the fall of 2025 and be available in the fall of 2026. What sets catechumenate apart from other EFM formation products is it will be tied to the seasons of the church. And so you will move through this study and tied to the liturgical calendar. And so that is something different that hasn't been a part of EFM for a while. EFM recruitment. Now, here, when Sissy Wall was our executive director, she, with the School of Theology, developed a thing called EFM Immersion, where we basically get to spend some time with the seminarians here and tell them and teach them and have them experience all things EFM. And we decided, what if we can allow people across the world to recreate this experience? And so EFM Recruitment, as I mentioned earlier, this is a free resource in your Pathright library now. When you go into EFM Recruitment, all you have to do is say, I want to join the cohort. You join, and you have full access to the path. Anyone who has an EFM Pathright account has access to this, and you will see there are all kinds of things in there to help you do an immersion experience. There's designs for a 20-minute experience, a 1-hour experience. What if you're leading something at your diocesan convention? There's 3-hour experiences. There's a day retreat in there, but you'll see there's a lot more than that. It's like an electronic press kit. And Beth Cavey, the trainer in residence for Mentor Empowerment, oversaw this effort, and it will continuously be updated. You may see something in there like you used for recruitment, and we could integrate it into this tool, which is one of the beauties of Pathright. We can continually update, take out outdated things, and update it electronically system-wide. Also, week by week. This has been a resource for mentors for the past 2 years, produced by Karen Byers, who is a mentor and trainer, and Beth Cavey, EFM's trainer in residence for Mentor Empowerment, and previously only available on the Mentors listserv. These popular Zoom workshops are now available as a free resource in everyone's Pathright library. You can just sign up for the cohort and you'll have access to the complete path. You'll see that week by week is being organized pretty much by the 5 core practices. So if your group are struggling with theological reflection, you might say, oh, let's go to a week by week there. These informal conversations on Zoom encourage seminars to create brave space for participants journeying through all EFM formation products. So join on week by week, where we have participants, mentors, coordinators, trainers, School of Theology faculty, EFM staff, and book authors, and go in there and deepen your engagement with EFM. New episodes are added each week during the academic year, and so just join the cohort. EFM Fun, it will be adult manipulatives that you can use in your seminar to help encourage some fun and a different way to engage, for example, theological reflection. They are currently finishing design of a theological reflection board game. And so just imagine that you're in your seminar with your participants and you put out a board game that looks like something like Trivial Pursuit, and this will be a different way to help you engage theological reflection, maybe a more relaxing and fun way for those seminars, and we know that you're out there, that struggle with it, right? Theological reflection, like all exercises, like all discipline, some days are great and other days it's like pulling teeth. So we're hoping this board game will help give you another way for adult learners to engage. But there are other resources that they're developing, and we'll soon have a path for EFM Fun in the fall that have other things you'll be able to download. It will be a free resource to help you and your seminar group come to life in different and new and exciting ways. And finally, I'm going to conclude my final part of this, my formal part of this presentation is please come and join us. EFM is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and everyone is invited to attend. Current program participants, mentors, coordinators, trainers, staff, graduates, and those curious about Bible-based studies. We will gather here for fellowship, for learning, celebration, reflection, and worship. Stephanie Spellers will be our keynote. Many of you will recognize her name. She wrote The Church Cracked Open, one of our interlude books in the fourth revision. And we are thrilled she's going to be here to keynote us and help us kick off the celebration. There'll be a concert. Lily Lewis, the folk rock diva of New Orleans, is coming to Swanee to do a concert for us, EFM celebrants. And we will start one of the days with a theological reflection based on one of the songs she performs that night. When you come, you will have access to the revised curriculum. So during your 4 days here, as you choose to engage workshops and go deeper and prepare yourself to lead or to study within the revised curriculum, bring your laptop, bring your e-reader, your iPad, your Kindle, and you will have access during your time here to the full curriculum, all of it. And you'll start to have time to navigate, ask people questions, meet the people who designed it, so that you too will start to feel as if you are ready to engage and transition. We'll also have all kinds of seminars. The School of Theology faculty are leading small group seminars. Our spiritual sojourners will be here leading seminars. Our curriculum development folks will be here leading seminars. And so we hope you will come and join us. And finally, there is a book coming out from Church Publishing, which you can pre-order now, available May 6th, that captures the 50 years of EFM's history from the experiences of people all around the program. So if you can order it on all online bookstores. And finally, I couldn't be here, and I don't believe any of us could be here without the staff of EFM, which I have the privilege of serving with. These people help keep the program going. There's me standing there, but next is Donna Lane. She's our program administrator, who keeps us all in line and focused. Beth Cavey, trainer in residence for mentor empowerment. Deborah Wilson, registration specialist. Joshua Boer, EFM's assistant director. Bobby Ashley is our registrar. Dawn Baker, our controller. She's in charge of all things money. And Cindy Hargis, responsible for diocesan relations. And so without these folks, Bobby Ashley was my registration specialist since I started in 1995 when I started to be a mentor. And so I'm just thrilled with these folks' dedication and that they serve EFM in this way. All right, Casey, do we have any questions? We have about 10 minutes together left in this call. I'm sorry I talk so much. That is anti-EFM, really, just to listen to someone have diarrhea of the mouth. But we wanted to get this information out to everyone. Yeah, so Casey.
Thank you so much. We do have a number of questions, and I will try to be methodical about grouping them together. Folks, if I don't quite answer your question, as I mentioned at the beginning, we'll be reviewing any questions that we don't get to and trying to get that information back out. Kevin, one of the things that was sort of common throughout was that it was a lot of information and people were grateful for that, but we're curious what the best way to either get access to your presentation or to sort of have a way to review and snapshot what all you've shared today. I will mention, I know one of the things we'll be doing is recording this webinar and we'll be making it available in the future. But do you have other suggestions on the best way folks can kind of recap all that they've heard today?
Yeah, this entire presentation is on EFM's Substack, which is Education for Ministry substack.com. And let me just say, it's a free resource and it will always be free. Now, Substack will try to get you to subscribe. And for those of you who are in a position to support EFM financially that way, please financially subscribe. But it is a free resource. And every time it asks you to subscribe, just say no thanks and it will let you into all the resources that are on there. So as Casey mentioned, the School of Theology records these presentations, which will be posted on the School of Theology website. We will be posting it on the EFM Facebook page as well as on Substack. If you need the information now, go to Substack, and the subscription's free. And just keep in mind, when it wants you to pay, just say no thanks. But if you can pay, please do. Yep.
That's
Thanks,
great.
Casey. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, dude.
No, go ahead.
And the brochures are being updated as we speak to reflect the new products that will be available. Yeah.
Awesome. This person asks, would you comment on coordinator access to Pathright?
Coordinators have the same access as everyone else does. That's a very good question in terms of coordinators to have access now to the recruitment tool, which I'm sure they will find very helpful. Just get a free EFM account at efm.pathright.com. Anyone can have access to the EFM library, efm.pathright.com.
And
You
I've
go there, get an account, and you have access to all the free resources.
The links that Kevin has mentioned throughout today, I've been dropping in the chat. So if you need to access either the Substack or the link to Pathright that he just mentioned, please check the chat and you can go directly there. I see a number of folks using the raise hand feature. And because this is a webinar, we won't have the ability to have you speak today. So if you have a question, be sure to drop it in the Q&A as I'm trying to work through those now. So the next question is, this is sort of a group of questions I'll try to ask together. I think I understand what folks are getting at. As you were talking about wide angle, several people asked variations on that. Seems like a lot of reading for the mentor in order to be able to be prepared if you've got folks in 4 years plus adding this fifth year sort of option. So I wonder if you would speak a little bit about your thoughts on mentor preparation and all the different materials that would be going into that.
Yeah, I mean, as a mentor knows, you are not the master of the material, right? EFM is not a college course or you're not an elementary school teacher. You are not the master of the material. And so it's not an expectation of the program that you have read all of these books and have them memorized as you prepare to lead your seminar. And so it is going to be challenging for those mentors who feel as if they're using the old education model as I am the master of the material. But that has never been the intention of EFM for 50 years. Our mentors are trained to facilitate conversations. I remember I was leading a training out there in the United States, and I had one of my mentors who had all 4 years and had always done this, and she started bawling in the middle of the training. So we had to stop, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Why are you crying? And she said, I'm so exhausted reading all the material to plan to facilitate the conversation. And she was an educator. She had the gift of a teacher. So of course, in her way, she had to be a master of all the material. And I said, don't read a thing. Just show up and be prepared to be a facilitator of the material. And I just bumped into her the other day, and she loved it. She's still a mentor, and she says, I'm not preparing at all. Now, if you're like me, I'm a book nerd, and I believe a lot of our mentors will feel stressed, like I need to read all of this. And I just encourage you to do what you can. It's a new revision, right? And so there are 21 new textbooks. And we cannot expect you to be the master of all of it or any of it, as we all have very busy lives. So thank you for the question.
Goodness, lots of different things. One of the things that some folks have, again, I'm trying to sort of group questions together. A number of folks have sort of noted the digitization of materials of the curriculum. There have been some questions about what if someone doesn't have access to technology, you know, accessing a Zoom, will you also need to be able to have a second device to read on and that sort of thing. So I wonder if you maybe would just speak a little bit about the way that things are moving as far as technology goes.
Yeah, it's as all of us know, there's a lot of technology going on and it changes every day. And on top of that, the textbook industry is changing. And so more and more turning and moving towards electronic texts. Our students here at the University of the South can tell you a lot of their textbooks aren't even available in book form. And so we're at 50 years, we're at the time where an expectation of the program is that all folks have access to both to an electronic book. Only one textbook is not available in print in the new revision. However, that is not how it will move. Well, the textbook industry will move forward. So it is our expectation that yes, you will have access to electronic reader starting in the fall of next year. For those groups that meet online, I have 4 sources opened right now. As you saw, I was in the path as I was addressing you. And so it's easier if you have a second device. At one of the trainings I did in Roslyn, Virginia, that's what people chose to do, was to, and we were on site, so we were luckily all in the same room together. So in their lap was their electronic device to engage the material. But as we move away from, and textbooks are getting more and more expensive. And when we did the curriculum revision, I asked the designers to keep the textbooks under $100 a year. Because as you know, one of the textbooks that was in consideration for the Hebrew scripture was $80. I said, we can't do that. So it's a very good question, a fair question. Anything in the path can be printed out. So you may decide as an end user that, oh, I want to print this out and have it in my lap and on paper. All the essays are designed to be printed out for those of you who want to mark it up. But Pathwrite also has a notes feature, just like the Kindle Reader does, that you can jot notes down right within Pathwrite at a specific time in the electronic reading.
Awesome. We are coming right up on our time. And so I think one question I've seen a couple of folks drop in that maybe would be a good way for you to leave us. We certainly have questions that we're not going to be able to get to today, but we will review all of those and try to craft good, fulsome answers to these questions that you all have put in. There's a lot of synergy around your questions. And so I think Kevin will have an opportunity to sort of group those together and provide some written responses in future communications about these questions. But one thing that there seem to be a few people on the call who are curious about is if they've not been able to make a group work at, say, their local parish, you all have resources to online groups that are accessible to folks in various places. And so could you talk a little bit about connecting with a group if at the local parish level the timing doesn't work or something like that?
Yeah. On the website, it's hard for us to navigate. If you think about it, the Swanee website, the University of South website is designed for 17-year-olds. And there we are thrown into the mix. And we are redesigning the EFM portion of the site right now to include the new products. The easiest way right now, there is on the website all the online groups listed and the mentors and how to contact them if you're looking for an online group. You may not be able to find it. The best way to find it right now is to go to our link tree, and I don't have that, but we engage link tree that points to specific information based on people looking for specific things that they can't find currently on the website. And I wish I could find it. It's yeah, Casey.
I'll drop it in the chat right now.
Yeah. So if you go there, you can go and list, and then all there has what can I say, the top 5 things people contact us with all the time. And because of the way the website navigates, can't find it. So we always try to put in there responsive so you can, it points right to it. So go there. The new website, which we hope to turn on this week, it's not complete, but you will be able to find it more easily. And we're also going to be able to easily update these lists so that it's current when you find it.
Perfect. We have reached the hour. Thank you, Kevin, so much for a ton of great information. Thank you all for joining us today, and do be on the lookout for a further communication about all of these exciting things that are happening, and check the links in the chat before we close out today if there's anything you want to open on your web browser before you leave. But thank you all again so much. We're excited about the future of EFM, and so grateful for all of you for your support and love of this program.